I just wanted to take a moment to talk about why we chose the title of this conference, An Injury to One is an Injury to All. A speaker in a similar event in Minneapolis pointed out to the crowd that we often look at this phrase in far too two-dimensional a sense. He pointed out, more or less, that we often convince ourselves that our actions are firmly based in a rational self-interest, and so we often think about this phrase, an injury to one is an injury to all, as an expression of some kind of individual self-interest. If one person is attacked, I could be attacked. If there's a legal precedent that you can imprison somebody without trial for being a Muslim, maybe it could be used to imprison someone for being a peace activist. And indeed, that is what is happening. 2 years ago, the precedents that had been used to imprison and round up Muslims were then launched against peace activists and international solidarity activists. And today, just a few months ago, were then used against anarchists. So that is very much true. But we do not simply live as individuals. Our moral, cultural, and political existence is also social. So when millions of immigrants took to the streets between March and May 1st of 2006, mounting the two largest national mobilizations in US history, including the largest national general strike in US history, new possibilities appeared to everyone that did not before exist. Not only could we talk realistically of amnesty and equal rights for immigrants, but we could also talk about labor rights, health care, and the war in Iraq in a fundamentally different way than we could have before. And when this human wave was beaten back with raids, no-match letters, police harassment, and deportations by the hundreds of thousands, these possibilities simply slipped from our imagination. This imagination was watered again when thousands of Palestinians in this country and their allies took to the streets in 2009 in defense of Gaza, and again when millions stepped onto the stage of history in Tunisia, Egypt, and throughout the Arab world. There's no question that every person in this country began to think of their world differently after that. The occupation of Cairo's Tahrir Square made possible the occupation of Wisconsin's state capitol and Manhattan's Wall Street. And who could conceive of the movements against the war in Vietnam or for women's liberation without the civil rights movement? Following such struggles, what impact could be expected of the mass incarceration and criminalization of millions of African Americans, the proliferation of police informants, routinized police stops, frisks, and checkpoints, but to deal a crippling blow to the progressive movements in the United States? What effect could hundreds of preemptive prosecutions, phony terrorist entrapment cases, and FBI surveillance have, except to quiet those in this country whose families face American bombs and sanctions, to shield us from the warmth of the Arab Spring, to associate dissent and international solidarity with terrorism? For these reasons alone, it is necessary that we oppose the new Feinstein Amendment to the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA, which Manji just talked about. The amendment expressly shows, the amendment expressly allows for the detention without trial or charges of those who are neither citizens nor permanent residents, and in doing so repudiates the long-standing legal norm that every person in the borders of the United States have the same constitutional protections. It takes a step towards creating a class of people who have no constitutional rights living in this country. Thankfully, the ACLU, Bill of Rights Defense Committee, Amnesty International, Center for Constitutional Rights, and 16 other human rights organizations have already come out against this amendment at this early date, and I'm sure that there will be many others to join them. So we are not alone if we oppose such an amendment. In the course of fighting to defend ourselves and each other from state repression, we can be sure to be made such many offers. Here's a solution that protects everyone except immigrants. This one protects everyone except felons. This one doesn't apply to terrorists, or those who support terrorists, or those who associate with terrorists. And we have to start questioning what that word actually means in reality. The enemies of our civil liberties do their best to divide our movements and turn us into a bunch of competing interest groups. So over and over again, we must respond with all of us or none of us. And so, if I haven't spent enough time doing it, that is one of the central purposes of this conference, is to get over some of these divisions and do everything that Manji was talking about, from getting to know each other. And if you see somebody who's talking about something that you think people in your community or your organization need to know about, go ahead and meet them and book them to speak at where you're at. Or if you would like to work with them. Absolutely, that is absolutely necessary. The laws, all these laws that look so terrifying, they're just parts of institutions that are made up of nothing more than people, and that's why we can win, that's why we can push this stuff back.